Golden needles. Elena Winters ran her fingers along the delicate fabric, feeling each thread beneath her fingertips. The shimmering material caught the late afternoon sunlight streaming through her studio windows, casting golden reflections across her workbench. Her sewing machine hummed quietly as she guided the silk through with practiced precision, her movements graceful and sure. "Just one more section," she murmured to herself, tucking a strand of auburn hair behind her ear. The dress was coming together beautifully, an elegant creation of midnight blue silk with an intricate embroidery technique she had learned from her grandmother. Not quite haute couture by mainstream standards, but a labor of love and artistry that showcased her unique talent. Tomorrow night would be her first introduction to her fiancé James Harrington's family at their annual charity gala. The Harringtons, old money, influential in the fashion industry, and notoriously particular about appearances. James had insisted she'd charm them, but the flutter of anxiety in her stomach told a different story. Her phone buzzed with a text from James. "Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Wear something impressive. Mother's inviting important people." Elena sighed, looking at the dress she'd poured weeks into creating. Would it be enough? James had never fully understood her work, calling her handcrafted pieces quaint and charming, words that felt more dismissive than complimentary. But he loved her, she reminded herself. Their worlds were different, but love bridged those gaps. Didn't it? He'll be proud when he sees this, she assured herself, adding the final golden stitches to the intricate pattern along the neckline. Her small apartment above the community arts center where she taught textile classes was a world away from the Harrington mansion across town. Photos of her students, mostly neighborhood children and elderly women who found joy in creating, covered one wall. Their smiling faces gave her strength. They understood the value of what she did, even if the fashion elite might not. Later that evening, her best friend Zoe arrived with takeout and critical moral support. "Wow," Zoe whispered, circling the dress displayed on the mannequin. "Elena, this is breathtaking. Do you think it's enough for the Harringtons?" Elena bit her lip. "If they don't appreciate this, they don't deserve you," Zoe said firmly. "But more importantly, is James worth this much effort? The guy who asked if you could upgrade to real designing from your crafting hobby?" Elena winced at the memory. "He didn't mean it like that. He just doesn't understand this world." "And you don't understand his," Zoe pointed out gently. "I'm just saying, make sure you're not losing yourself trying to fit into their mold." They ate dumplings while Elena described the final touches for tomorrow. Her grandmother's pearl earrings, hair swept up to showcase the dress's detailed back. "James's cousin Nathan might be there," Elena mentioned. "The only one who seemed genuinely interested in my work when James showed him pictures." "The architect who designs eco-friendly buildings? He sounds more your speed," Elena rolled her eyes. "I'm marrying James, Zoe." Later, alone in bed, Elena traced the calluses on her fingers, badges of her craft. Tomorrow she would enter the Harrington world with her head high, wearing her art on her body. The dress represented everything she was, thoughtful, detailed, authentic. If they couldn't see its beauty, perhaps they wouldn't see hers either. As moonlight filtered through her curtains, Elena closed her eyes and dreamed of threads that sparkled like stars, weaving patterns of a future not yet determined, silk and thorns. The Harrington mansion blazed with lights, illuminating the manicured gardens and the stream of luxury vehicles depositing guests at the entrance. Elena smoothed her hands over her dress, drawing a deep breath before James guided her through the grand doors. "There's my mother," James whispered, steering Elena toward a statuesque woman draped in designer silk and diamonds. Claudia Harrington's critical gaze swept over Elena, lingering on her dress with the barest hint of a frown. "So this is the talented artist," Claudia said, her smile not reaching her eyes. "That's quite an interesting ensemble, dear." "Thank you," Elena replied warmly. "It's actually my own design. Oh, you made it?" Claudia's eyebrows rose. "How resourceful." Before Elena could respond, a group of women in couture gowns descended, each air-kissing Claudia before turning curious eyes to Elena. "Ladies, this is James's fiancée," Claudia introduced. "She's a crafts teacher." "Textile artist," Elena corrected gently. I specialize in sustainable fashion and traditional techniques. One woman, Vivian, a fashion editor, fingered the sleeve of Elena's dress. What label is this? I don't recognize the pattern work. It's her own, Claudia interjected before Elena could answer. Homemade! The temperature of their interest dropped instantly. Smiles tightened, eyes glazed over. How economical, Vivian said. Another woman stifled a laugh. James squeezed Elena's hand before drifting away toward business associates, leaving her stranded among the women who now discussed designer names as if Elena weren't present. Excuse me, she murmured, slipping away to find the bar. Her cheeks burned with humiliation, but she held her head high, feeling eyes following her across the room. It's exquisite work, a deep voice said beside her. Elena turned to find a man with thoughtful gray eyes and an easy smile. The silk draping technique, Japanese-inspired? Yes, Elena replied, surprised. With some elements from my grandmother's Ukrainian tradition. You know textiles? Nathan Harrington, he introduced himself. James's cousin? I know beautiful craftsmanship when I see it. His gaze was appreciative, but not flirtatious. I design sustainable buildings. I respect anyone who creates with both purpose and heart. For the first time that evening, Elena felt seen. They discussed techniques and materials until Claudia's voice cut through their conversation. Nathan, darling, stop monopolizing James's little fiancé. She needs to meet the Vogue representatives. What followed was an hour of subtle humiliations. Claudia accidentally spilled wine on Elena's dress. Vivian loudly wondered if Elena could whip up napkins for her next dinner party. When someone asked about Elena's background, James answered for her, downplaying her artistic training and emphasizing her teaching as giving back to the community. During dinner, Elena overheard Claudia whisper to James, Darling, we can find her something suitable to wear for the engagement announcement. Something proper. James merely nodded. Later in the powder room, Elena overheard Vivian and another woman laughing. Did you see those stitches? Amateur hour. James must be going through a bohemian phase. Once they're married, Claudia will sort her out. Elena stared at her reflection, at the dress she'd poured her heart into. Each golden thread represented a piece of her soul. And no one here, not even James, could see its worth. When she emerged, Nathan was waiting in the hallway. You okay? My family can be sharks when they smell blood. Does the prey usually walk willingly into their jaws? Elena asked with a sad smile. Nathan's expression turned serious. You know, there's something you should see. About the Harrington Design House. He glanced around. Not here. But if you want the truth, come to my studio tomorrow. As they returned to the ballroom, James approached with Claudia. There you are. Mother wants to introduce you to her dressmaker. She thinks you'd benefit from some professional guidance. Elena looked between them, James's eager smile, Claudia's triumphant one, and over their shoulders, Nathan's concerned gaze. For the first time, she wondered if love was really enough to bridge the chasm between her world and theirs. Unraveling truths. Nathan's studio was nothing like Elena expected. An airy warehouse space filled with sustainable material samples, architectural models, and surprisingly, a wall of textile designs. These are incredible, Elena said, examining the fabric swatches. They're not mine, Nathan clarified, unlocking a cabinet. They belong to designers the Harrington Fashion House has borrowed from over the years. He handed Elena a portfolio. Inside were designs nearly identical to pieces in recent Harrington collections, but with different signatures, small studios, independent artists, many from countries known for traditional craftsmanship. I don't understand, Elena whispered, though a sinking feeling told her she did. Claudia's business model is simple. Find talented unknowns, commission designs for inspiration, then produce remarkably similar pieces without credit or proper compensation. Elena flipped to the next page and froze. There, unmistakably, was her mentor Sophia's distinctive embroidery pattern, the same one featured in last season's Harrington Accessories line. Sophia submitted these for a collaboration, Elena said hoarsely. They rejected her, said her work wasn't refined enough. She was devastated. Nathan nodded grimly. They didn't want her. Just her ideas. Why are you showing me this? Because you're about to join this family. His eyes were kind but direct. And because I saw how they treated you last night. Someone who creates with integrity. Elena spent the afternoon in a daze, examining evidence of the Harringtons' systematic theft. When her phone buzzed with a message from James asking her to come to the family mansion for dinner, she made her decision. She arrived wearing one of her simpler designs, a linen dress with delicate handwork at the collar. James greeted her with a distracted kiss. "Mother's chosen some stunning options for your engagement photo dress," he said cheerfully. "All you have to do is show up for fittings." In the dining room, Claudia sat with Vivian and two other executives from the Harrington Company. Papers were spread across the table. "Elena, perfect timing. We're reviewing next season's collection." Claudia's smile was all teeth. "You have a quaint aesthetic that might appeal to the sustainable market. Perhaps you could consult for our new ethical line?" Elena placed Sophia's original sketches on the table. "Like you consulted with my mentor?" she asked quietly. The room went silent. Claudia's smile hardened. "I don't know what you mean." "I think you do." Elena laid out more evidence. Nathan's photographs, side-by-side comparisons. "You've built an empire on stolen creativity. How dare you?" Claudia hissed. "James, control your fiancé." James looked stricken. "Elena, you don't understand how the industry works. Everyone draws inspiration. This isn't inspiration. It's theft." Elena's voice remained steady. "And it stops now, or these go public." Vivian laughed nervously. "You'd never be believed." "We're the Harringtons." "And I'm just a crafts teacher." Elena echoed Claudia's dismissive words. "With nothing to lose." She turned to James. "Are you with them or with me?" His silence was answer enough. Elena slipped off her engagement ring. "I thought so." She placed the ring beside Sophia's designs. "I won't be part of this." As she walked toward the door, James called after her. "Elena, be reasonable. We can work something out." She paused, turning back one last time. "You know what the difference is between my work and yours? Mine has my soul in every stitch. What's in yours, James?" She left the Harrington mansion with her head high, her heart broken, but her integrity intact. Pattern of change. 3 months after walking away from the Harringtons, Elena was elbow-deep in indigo dye, demonstrating traditional techniques to a group of teenage girls at the community center. Her hair was pulled back in a bandana, her hands stained blue, and her smile genuine for the first time in months. "Ms. Winters, look!" 14-year-old Maya held up her fabric, its pattern emerging in beautiful contrasts. "Perfect tension on those bindings," Elena praised. "You have a natural talent." The door opened, admitting a familiar figure. Nathan Harrington stood awkwardly, holding a large portfolio case. "Class, finish your pieces and hang them on the drying rack," Elena instructed, wiping her hands. "Nathan, this is a surprise." Once the students were occupied, Nathan spoke quietly. "You've been impossible to reach." "I've been busy," she gestured around the classroom. "Building something honest." "I can see that." His smile was genuine. "These kids are lucky to have you." Elena crossed her arms. "Why are you here, Nathan?" "2 reasons." He opened the portfolio. "First, these belong to their creators. The Harrington Company is facing a major restructuring. I've been appointed interim CEO while the legal issues resolve." Elena stared at the original designs, including Sophia's work. "You're giving everything back?" With compensation and formal apologies, Nathan's expression was determined. "The company will survive, but only with a complete ethical overhaul." Many employees had no idea what was happening. They shouldn't lose their livelihoods because of Claudia's decisions. "And James?" Elena asked, surprised by how little pain accompanied the name now. "Working for his father's real estate company. Fashion wasn't his passion anyway." Nathan hesitated. "He wanted me to tell you he's sorry, for what it's worth." Elena nodded, accepting but not dwelling on the apology. "You said there were 2 reasons for your visit?" Nathan produced a formal envelope. "The second is this. The Sustainable Design Showcase is accepting applications. Your work deserves recognition." Their fingers brushed as she took the envelope, sending an unexpected warmth through her. "Why help me, Nathan? Your family..." is not defined by Claudia's actions, he finished firmly. Some of us want to make things right. Later that evening, Elena walked with Nathan along the riverfront, the sunset painting the water in golds and purples. I've missed our conversations, Nathan admitted. That night at the gala, before everything fell apart, talking with you was the only real moment. Elena smiled. You were the only one who actually saw my work, not just the fact that it wasn't designer. They paused at a bench overlooking the water. The evening air carried the scent of spring blossoms and possibility. I have a confession, Nathan said, his gray eyes serious. I've followed your career for years. Your installation at the Textile Arts Festival 2 years ago? It changed how I approached my environmental building designs. You saw that? Elena was genuinely surprised. Only about 50 people attended, and I was one of them. His smile was soft. I recognized your name when James mentioned you. I couldn't believe you were the same artist. Something shifted between them, recognition of a connection that had been there from the beginning. When Nathan's hand brushed hers on the bench, she didn't pull away. I'd like to help with your application for the showcase, he offered. No strings, no Harrington influence. Just one artist supporting another. As darkness fell and lights twinkled along the river, Elena realized she was smiling, really smiling, for the first time in months. Whatever came next would be on her terms, woven from threads of her own choosing. Woven Destinies. The Sustainable Design Showcase transformed the city's contemporary art museum into a celebration of ethical creativity. Elena moved through the space in a daze, barely recognizing herself in the poised woman whose collection was drawing critical acclaim. Her exhibition, titled Authentic Threads, featured garments that told stories. A jacket embroidered with symbols representing her students' diverse backgrounds, dresses dyed with plants grown in the community garden, and centerpiece gowns made from reclaimed fabrics, each bearing the signature techniques of artisans who had taught her. The critics are calling you revolutionary, Nathan murmured, appearing at her elbow with 2 glasses of champagne. The woman who's redefining luxury as authenticity. Elena accepted the glass, still overwhelmed. 6 months ago, I was the embarrassment at the Harrington Gala. And now the Harrington Foundation for Ethical Design is sponsoring young artists in your name, Nathan reminded her. Sometimes justice has a sense of poetry. They walked through the exhibition, stopping occasionally to speak with admirers and potential clients. Elena introduced Nathan to Sophia, now the Foundation's creative director, watching with satisfaction as they discussed rebuilding the company's reputation through genuine collaboration. Near the end of the evening, Nathan led Elena to a quiet balcony overlooking the city lights. I have something for you, he said, producing a small box. Elena raised an eyebrow. Nathan Harrington, if that's what I think it is, he laughed. Not a ring. Not yet anyway. His eyes sparkled with mischief. Although these past 3 months have been the best of my life. Inside the box was a delicate gold needle threaded with silk. My grandmother's, he explained. She was a seamstress before the family fortune. Claudia hid her legacy because it wasn't sophisticated enough. But I found her journals, her patterns. She would have adored you. Emotion tightened Elena's throat. It's perfect, like you, Nathan said softly, brushing a strand of hair from her face. Not because you're flawless, but because you're true. Their kiss was gentle at first, then deepened with months of unspoken feelings. Elena felt the final threads of her old life fall away as she melted into his embrace, her body awakening to possibilities she'd never allowed herself to imagine with James. Later that night, they lay tangled in sheets at her apartment, the moonlight painting silver patterns across their skin. Nathan traced the curve of her shoulder, his touch reverent. I've wanted to do that since I first saw you in that blue dress, he confessed. Even with my homemade fashion, she teased, especially because of it. His eyes grew serious. You stood in a room of expensive emptiness and shone with something real. Elena ran her fingers through his hair, marveling at how different this intimacy felt, built on mutual respect and genuine appreciation rather than James's conditional acceptance. When morning came, they walked together through the farmer's market. selecting ingredients for breakfast with the comfortable rhythm of partners rather than new lovers. They passed a newsstand with business magazines featuring the Harrington Company's ethical restructuring. "Do you ever regret it?" Nathan asked. "Walking away from what could have been a comfortable life?" Elena considered the question, watching a street artist sketch a young couple nearby. "Comfort without authenticity isn't really comfort," she answered finally. "It's just a gilded cage." She stopped at a fabric stall, running her fingers over hand-woven cotton from a women's cooperative. The vendor recognized her from the showcase coverage and insisted on gifting her several yards. "For your next creation," the woman said warmly as they walked home, arms full of fabric and fresh food. Elena realized she had found what the Harringtons had always lacked despite their wealth: enough. Enough beauty, enough purpose, enough love. That evening, as they sat on her small balcony watching the sunset, Elena sketched designs for her next collection, while Nathan reviewed plans for a sustainable housing project. Their work spread between them, occasionally overlapping, separate but harmonious. "What will you call this one?" Nathan asked, nodding toward her sketches. Elena smiled, thinking of the journey that had brought her here, from the humiliation of that first gala to the triumph of finding her true path. "Golden needles," she decided, "to remind me that sometimes being pricked is the beginning of creating something beautiful." Nathan leaned over to kiss her, his lips curved in a smile against hers. "I like that. Worthy of a woman who stitches truth into everything she touches." As twilight deepened around them, Elena knew with certainty that this honest love, this authentic life, was the most exquisite design of all.